All right, we're going to call this meeting. This is the Joint Airport and Transportation and Infrastructure Committee today for the City of Kansas City, Missouri, the City Council. This is our third public hearing for a joint committee for ordinance number 170389, and we'll read it in its entirety very shortly. We do have a quorum for this meeting. I'm Jermaine Reed. I'm the chair of the Transportation and Infrastructure Committee, and to my left here is the co-chair.
And I am Jolie Justice, Chair of the Airport Committee and member of Chairman Reed's Transportation and Infrastructure Committee.
Kevin McManus, representing the 6th District here, also a member of the Transportation and Infrastructure Committee.
Dan Fowler, 2nd District. I am Vice Chair of the Airport Committee and member of the Transportation and Infrastructure Committee.
So I'm going to ask the city clerk if you could approach the podium so we can read our ordinance in its entirety, and then we'll go over sort of our agenda and purpose, of course, of today's meeting, and hopes to be out, of course, by 7:30 as we have in the other meetings. So, Madam Clerk, if you could read our first and only item on the agenda. Next, also, let's go ahead and read our additional item that's listed under additional business.
Ordinance 170389, authorizing the city manager to execute a memorandum of understanding with Terminal Developer LLC and Burns & McDonnell Engineering Company for a terminal's modernization project at the Kansas City International Airport, and recognizing this ordinance as having an accelerated effective date pursuant to Section 503A3D of the Charter. Additional business item number 1, there may be general discussion regarding current airport committee issues and transportation and infrastructure committee issues, including the terminal modernization project at KCI.
Okay, thank you. So that is what we're going to be discussing today, and I'll let our co-chair give some sort of facts and guidelines of where we are. I will mention that if you are here to make public testimony for the ordinance and also additional business in which was read by our city clerk, we do have a sign-in sheet which was on the front when you first entered into the building here and into the room. We will allow for 2 minutes for public testimony. The city clerk has timekeeping tags over there, and so we'll be keeping the 2 minutes for all of you, and it will indicate, of course, when you have 1 minute and 15 seconds and then when your time is expired. In addition to that, I will note that if you have questions that you'd like to ask us as a council, we certainly are available to answer questions at the end of the forum, and we also have someone from our city communications office that will be taking notes throughout the duration of our forum this afternoon, and we will try to answer some of the technical questions and also high-level questions or whatever may come up if the expertise is in the room. That gives us an opportunity to do that. So with that, I'll turn it over to the co-chair.
Thank you so much, Chairman Reed. Want to make sure that everybody understands what's happening this evening. So you heard from the city clerk as she read the ordinance number, which is 170389. As many of you have heard reported in the news, we originally introduced that ordinance, and since that time, the city of Kansas City has opened this process up for bid. So we now are in the middle of a procurement process, and this memorandum of understanding will change during that time. So what you will see is, number 1, the council will continue to work with their outside legal counsel, but no longer communicating with the Burns & Mac firm on a specific memorandum of understanding, while we open it up for other individuals who might be interested in proposing similar projects or ideas to the city. Those ideas are due to the city at 4 p.m. on June the 20th, after which there will be a procurement process selection, and then we will move forward as a council once again discussing that. So tonight, what we'd like to do is open this up to hear from you. I know many of you have thoughts that you want to share with us, and many of you have questions. As Chairman Reed said, if you have questions, we will be writing those down, and at the end of all of the public presentations, we will answer as many of those as that we are able to, and everyone will be limited to 2 minutes in time. So without any further ado, I would open it up to my fellow council members to see if you have any questions or comments at this time. We will jump right into public testimony then, and we will start tonight with Terry Riley.
Good evening to each one of my friends up there, and I know you guys have a very tough job. I've sat in that seat for 11 years. But the truth of the matter is this, I just wanted to talk generally about the airport. I've traveled quite frequently around the United States of America, and my number one issue is just not having a new airport. My issue is security. Security at the airport. If you go into other airports, I believe that the planes are too close to the street. Everyone talks about the economic impact, which is important, but I believe, based upon my travels, that it is just extremely too close. I believe that we can have an airport that's handicap accessible, coupled with it being convenient for our seniors and individuals that come in and out of our airport from Kansas City, and still have security as one of the top priorities. I think that's one of the things that have been missed in this process, and I appreciate this council being open and bringing this in front of the community, because a lot of times very big decisions are made very quick, and the community does not get input. And I commend each and every one of you guys that are involved today for putting it out to the community so that they can be intrinsically involved in the process. So she just put up the 30-second sign. What else can I come up with in 30 seconds? Not much, but security, security, security. And it would be good for a 6 o'clock flight, and I'll say this as I leave, to have something besides Starbucks to eat in the morning. And then most times it's closed and I can't eat at all. And so sometimes I just bring a boiled egg if they don't make me throw that away going through the security checks. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Up next, we have Kim Randolph, followed by Representative Dan Stacy and Don Hensley.
Good afternoon, Councilor. Again, I would like to reiterate what former Councilman Riley stated. And we have the same issues, security. I travel a lot. I travel around the United States, and I believe that KCI is one of the least secure airports because the congestion, it's not conducive. And also the space. Once you get inside of the TSA checkpoint, there's nowhere for you to go. You're stuck in this little space. I've been stuck for 12 hours waiting on a flight, leaving my hometown, and we were on top of each other like sardines. So for me, I am also about the security. We need a new airport, and we need one bad. We're probably one of the only cities that have an international airport, and we don't act as one. And that's all I have.
Thank you. Next, we have Dan Stacy, followed by Don Hensley, and then Jim Repton.
Thank you, Councilman. And I'm Dan Stacy, representative from the Blue Springs area. I'm glad to see that the council's opened up the bid process. And I believe that the time frame for the project, though, may be a little stringent. 20 days. I don't know of anybody I can ask personally about a $2 billion project like this to see what the time frame might be. But I did ask a developer who develops homes for about $1 million, and he does that in about 6 months. So he said that's a reasonable time. So I don't know if 20 days is a reasonable time. If that's true, a question might be raised: is this a time frame appropriate for this type of project and this size? If not, are we doing this, letting this project for some kind of show? I don't know. Second, I've had constituents of mine ask in the past week, if the Kansas City residents have voted down a single terminal, why is the City Council not listen to a proposal like a local architectural firm like Crawford Architects, who has a remodel project open for this process? Would you open this discussion up to Crawford Architects in particular for the remodel process that they have already outlined and given and would like to present to the council? Would you open it up to them? That's my question. Crawford Architects, they have a process here that's really a nice drawing. I'd give it to, I'd let anybody look at it. We'd like it back after you look at it. Thank you.
Don Hensley, followed by Jim Repton, then David Payne.
Good evening, Council. We talked before at these other council meetings that you've had, and I again have developed a list of questions that I want to give to you to answer as a result of your continued quest to do that single terminal at Kansas City International. I've done some research during the last meeting, and I would like to know what the total dollar is that you spent with other consultants since you started the quest for the single terminal. The numbers that I have so far exceed $10 million that you've spent with consultants trying to develop a single terminal plan without giving consideration to the Crawford program. In addition to that, my biggest concern about this entire concept, and people talk about security, Kansas City International meets all the security requirements. In fact, the security requirements are exceeded here. And the time to go through security is met. The time to clear security is met. There's been no breach of security out here that's created any problem since 9/11, and we started the TSA process. So I challenge those who think that the airport is not secure. If it's not secure, then why do we let a valet parking program that exists just outside the gates where people leave unattended cars and walk away from them, and nobody questions that? The next item I'm biggest concerned about this is the limit to capacity. You're wanting to tear down 75 usable gates and build 30 domestic gates with 5 international gates. You actually are going to stifle growth. You're going to limit airlines from coming here. In fact, if you build the 30 gates, nobody else will be able to come here other than what is already here without building more gates. So you're actually stifling the growth in this entire community. And lastly, and not least, I've sent all these questions, everything to Sam Graves, and asked him to get involved in this case because I think somebody's misleading the entire community over this. Thank you.
Thank you. If you could give the clerk your list of questions, we will certainly be responsive to those.
Jim Reppin, then David Payne, then Ernestine Davis.
Thank you. I'd just like to say that I do not use the airport all that often, but the current setup that we have with the divided concourse, strikes me as a little asinine, to be blunt. I think things that could be done to cost effectively achieve a simplified TSA structure would be taking out the parking structure in Terminal B, putting in central ticketing, security, and restaurants, and then connecting B and C in A and B together would be much more effective design and easier on the pocketbook of the taxpayers of Kansas City, Jackson County. Thank you.
David Payne, Ernestine Davis, and George Cook.
Good evening, members of the committee. My name is David Payne, and I'm a 3rd District member, and Mr. Reed's my councilman. And like Don Hensley, we've spoke before, and I'm here to echo a lot of the comments of Mr. Hensley. I currently still, to this day, run a transportation business, and I average being up to that airport about 150 times a month, dropping off or picking up my clients. And I just picked up a client last night. She said, you know, this is the easiest airport that I got into and out of. And I said that at my last position before this podium, or at the podium. There's a lot of questions concerning security at that airport. And again, like I said last time, to understand that airport, you have to either A, work at the airport or have worked at that airport. KCI has to be one of the most secure airports I've ever flown into or out of. I can definitely say that because we have a great airport police force up there and TSA. With this new information that you guys have put out today, you're saying that there's going to be 18,000 jobs created. Okay, what about the 2,200 jobs that's going to be lost? We're not going to attract additional airlines or flights. People are being misled. There's a lot of fake information going out. And this is not going to attract anybody to come to our city. We have other things to be concerned about than a single terminal. We need to improve what we have, and it can be done. Thank you.
Thank you. Ernestine Davis, followed by George Cook, and then Bill Mullins. Did Ernestine Davis or George Cook want to speak? Okay. Okay, George.
Thank you for holding this event. I'm a frequent user of the airport. When the single terminal concept was first floated, I was violently opposed to it. Not violently, but I was opposed. Since that time, I've done about a 180 on the whole thing. I travel a lot of comparable sized cities, and I find the single terminal will be extremely convenient. And I look at what we have, and I believe the number is somewhere in north of 80% of the passengers at KCI either originate or terminate here. And consequently, their needs are different. But recently, a couple of weeks ago, because of a delayed flight, I found how inconvenient our facility really is. I mean, the restrooms are limited, services are limited. It's very difficult, and the gate areas get extremely crowded. The one question was raised earlier regarding the expandability. That was one of the issues I had. We have an airport that accommodated 99 gates at one time. We're talking about reducing it by significant amount to 30-some. I believe there was something in the plan that called for the ability to expand. I would like to hear more information about that. Regarding the time frame, I mean, this thing's been going on for 2 or 3 years. It's not like it just all of a sudden happened. I would say in defense of Burns and McDonnell, I watched them build their headquarters building over a very brief period of time. They were incredibly professional and efficient, and they put that building up, I think, probably in record time, and I suspect we benefit from it as well. So thank you for your time.
Thank you. Bill Mullins?
Good evening, and thank you. I would like to draw attention to several points. One, the proposal and the general course of events regarding the future of the airport terminal over the past 6 or so years fails to take a regional transportation perspective. The airport and the airport system, as Burns and Matt calls it, is just one node in a very complex regional transportation infrastructure, much of which is in need of serious deliberation, planning, and revitalization. The idea that we would more complicate that process by adding extra players in a privatization initiative, it makes no sense to me at a time when we're supposed to be moving in the direction of scenario planning. We're doing planning here as if it was 1985. I think that needs to be looked at. I would also like to suggest that if we don't go in the direction of scenario planning as our future way of regionally thinking about all of these complex issues, including the Broadway Bridge and so on, then we're going to end up with a continuing fragmentation, parochialism, and apathy eventually in the voting public, as was pointed out by a just recent director of the Missouri Department of Transportation Board. This continues to be a problem, and in the recent Urban Institute report regarding Kansas City as progressively moving towards the most economically segregated metro in the nation, I think we have to consider a broader perspective when we look at what is here and what the rush is to make a decision. Finally, I'm troubled by the lack over the long period of any quantitative assessment of what the actual experience of the bulk of the users are of the airport. I think that has been avoided, and without doing that, I don't trust 1,000 pages of consultant reports on what the future looks like. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill. Bill Super.
I didn't do it. He did. Just some questions. Will Burns and Mac get a last look to match any offer on this deal? How much time has Burns and Mac spent doing this? I know it came out in the paper about 3 weeks ago. I got a hard time believing nobody in the city knew about this till about 3 or 4 weeks ago when it broke the newspaper. I mean, was it a top secret thing that just out of the blue somebody shows up and says, hey, we're going to spend $1 billion and build you a new airport? I got a hard time buying that one. To talk about the old airport convenience, everybody that I meet, everybody that comes here from out of town says Kansas City has got to be the most convenient airport for people getting in and out of, especially if you're getting picked up at the curb. Okay, there is none. Everyone I've been to in the country, there is none that anywhere close to it. I don't think we ever saw any kind of remodel plan. I attended a lot of the meetings that the mayor had that committee set up about 3 years ago. I attended almost all of those meetings, and it was kind of from the beginning set up that the remodel wasn't going to work. Okay, I think we got smarter people than that in the area. My wife and I spent a couple hours out at the airport Sunday. One of the big complaints was 3 years ago, there's no place to eat, there's not enough places to eat, there's not enough places to spend money, buy stuff. One of the restaurants was closed at noon Sunday, it hadn't opened up yet. And two of the outside areas where they sell shirts and food and snacks and what have you, two of those were closed at noon Sunday. So if it's really a big deal, we don't have enough, these people ought to be open if there's really enough people there spending money at these places. And obviously not, or else they would have been open. I guess that I can say one thing about the airport. It's a lot cleaner than it was with the new aviation director. He's found ways to put restaurants in. There are more restaurants. There's restaurant insecurity, and okay, I'm out of time.
Thank you.
And Connie Super?
Bill, if you have questions that your wife is not able to answer for you, please give them to the clerk, and we'll try to make sure we get the answers for you.
Hi, Connie Super, 5601 Northwest 81st Terrace. Mine's mainly questions. I would like to know how many gates will the new terminal have exactly? I've heard the gentleman say 30 domestic, 5 international. I want to know if that's true. And how soon will the public be given a scale drawing of the proposed new terminal? And if I don't get a scale drawing, I personally can't vote for something that I don't know what I'm getting. And I'd like to know, did the city or the airport pay the nearly $500,000 for attorneys to study the Burns and Mack plan? Was there no firm in Kansas City capable of doing this job that we could keep that money in Kansas City? Will the proposed new terminal be green with solar panels, et cetera, et cetera? And I agree with the gentleman earlier. To me, this seems like this is a rush project, and I have a big problem with that. Thank you.
Thank you, Connie. Terry Asplund, followed by Archie Williams, then Jerry Hughes.
Good evening, City Council. I am a taxi cab driver, and I drive up there every day picking people up and taking people to that airport. And from all of the people, including the international ones that come in, they say we have the best airport they've been to. The main problem I see with a single terminal is the taxis, and that would bunch up. You wouldn't be able to get the people out. We have a problem with that now. Single terminal, it just get worse. Best I could say, put in more taxi phones and let's cover what's there. Remodel it, yes. Rebuild a new one, no.
Thank you. Archie Williams, followed by Jerry Hughes. And then probably Kevin Smith, but I am not reading it. Kent.
Good evening. Thank you for having this forum to begin with, and certainly looking forward to all the efforts of a new or renovated airport. Either way, I think Kansas City is due. The purpose of my speaking this evening is to speak for some of the culture and the history that this area of the country represents, and the location of where the airport will be located. As we all know that in 1854, the Kansas-Nebraska Act created a situation that led up to the Civil War, which dealt with slaves or non-slave states. And as a result of Missouri being a slave state, we know that the airport currently sits on Miller Plantation. We have descendants who were both slave and slave owners that still live in this area and who have people buried either on the property or very close to it. So we're asking that we honor our culture and our history here in this area. We have the uniqueness of being the only place that people can travel in America that they can say before there was a Civil War and ending of slavery, this was the part of the country that moved this country forward. So we need to honor and respect those that are buried up there on the airport, so that we can show that we are proud of our culture and our heritage here in this area by making sure there's representation of our culture and our history in whichever form the new airport is going to take. It could be in art, it could be in some form of a timeline as suggestions, but let us not forget those who came before us and help to move this whole process forward. We appreciate this time to make this a public statement. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Jerry Hughes, followed by Kent Smith, and then Dan Coffey.
Kansas City spends more than most of its peer per capita in total spending in city administration. We spend more than all peer cities except St. Louis on servicing debt. The Mayor's Commission of 2012 reported city's debt ratio raised red flags. Kansas City had debt levels higher than almost all of the peer cities. Right now, MCI is in good financial position with relatively low debt load, which allows lower fees to the airlines. One of the peer cities, San Jose, is struggling to keep costs low so it does not lose service. To do this, it is burning through $30 million a year in reserves, an unsustainable burden. This is the result of a new $1.3 billion terminal. Please note, increasing the cost for airlines and customers as well as auxiliary services is more likely to lead to reduced flights, not more. We need to open this bidding to all with ideas, and especially to remodeling ideas, because as a city we have too much debt and we need to hold down that debt. This will keep our wonderful convenience afforded by our airport, which is mainly done by multiple terminals, multiple security points, and the closeness of ground transportation, which almost all of that is taken away by a single terminal. A couple ideas. Drone technology is taken off now. 5 years we may have drones land and we may need Terminal A for drones. Uber will greatly reduce the revenues from parking, and parking is one of the big things that people are counting on for revenues for this airport. Right now, Uber's doing about $1 a mile, and they give 75% of that.
Thank you.
To the driver. It'll be reduced by 50%.
You can submit those in writing if you like. Our next person is Kent Smith on deck, and there will be Dan Coffey and Bill Alexander.
Thank you for your time, guys. I'm a bus driver at the airport. I've worked for the airport as a rental car bus driver for over 10 years, so I have a unique perspective. I'm all for building a new airport, but I still think you can have the convenience of the two terminals, same design, connecting them. I have a whole idea in my head. But my main question was, I've never heard anything in the papers about commercial traffic, how you're going to separate them and how you're going to give them their own area. And I might make a plug, by the way, that you guys put some good signs up there finally to get people to the rental cars. Thank you. We've been wanting that for 10 years. But anyway, I get people from all over the country that fly into the airport, talk to my bus, and it's one of the most convenient airports that we have anywhere, they say. I mean, the biggest issue, of course, is you're crammed into a small space. You guys are doing everything you can to alleviate that with what you have. But I do think that you could have two horseshoes, security checkpoint at each end of the horseshoes, close out the rest of the doors, baggage claim on the lower level so it's covered, and you can connect the two together. You wouldn't have a red bus that way. So I think you could combine the convenience that we have with the design we have. I think it'll be great. But my main question was, how are you dealing with the commercial traffic, and hopefully you'll separate them from the non-commercial traffic. Thank you.
Dan Coffey, Bill Alexander, and Joseph Maven.
Good evening, Mr. Council. Thank you for being here and listening to us. I think we've all heard a lot tonight about the possibility of a remodel. at the airport. The RFP does not include that. As a matter of fact, it almost eliminates it. It says a single terminal in there. Your proposed agenda tonight mentions terminal modernization project. Well, that to me could include an update, a remodel. And for the life of me, I can't understand why our city council, who works for the taxpayers, who works for the voters, cannot consider a remodel project at the airport. You've heard what these people have said. You've got state legislators in here that say their constituents mention it to them all the time. Yet our city council, or city hall, more than the city council probably, tends to ignore that. Well, the people have the power. And if, in my opinion, if it doesn't come across the way they would like to see it come across, when the November vote comes, you're going to see a lot of no's out there. Because they'll just say, hey, it's not what we want. We've waited this long. Why not wait another year or so and the mayor will be gone and maybe we can get something that we all like. So I would encourage you to at least include or think about a modernization of what we have out there now. We got solid concrete buildings. There's some drawings I saw, some of them floating around here earlier, that are stunning of a remodeled terminals, what they could do with our terminals out there. And I know Pat's mentioned sight lines and parking. By pulling those front walls out 60 feet, they double the depth of the terminals. The sight lines are then fine, I believe, from what you're looking for. And the parking garages, A and B, were both built to be expanded by 4 stories each. That's 1,200 cars per story. So you can add 9,000 cars in those 2 garages if you want to add that much more parking to Terminal A and B. So for the life of me, I don't understand why a remodel proposal is not in the cards for our airport. Thank you very much.
Yes, your time. Thank you so much. I will note that our colleague, Councilwoman Laura, it says Lucas right there, but we're going to switch that over. Councilwoman Laura has joined us as well. And Mr. Alexander.
Good evening. My name is Bill Alexander. I'm president of Alexander Mechanical. Pardon me. We're a local contracting company that works in and out of Kansas City. Like many of everybody, I travel in and out of KCI frequently, traveling across the country to nice single terminal airports. Yes, KCI is convenient, but I love it that way, but I'm in favor of a new 1 terminal airport. I've been working at the airport since 1998. The last major remodel we had up there didn't cover all the issues that existed then and why we think a new remodel project, modernization project, is going to fix those things now. The only way we fix the airport is with the new airport. And so I'm in favor of the new airport. I mean, Burns and Mack has worked on a lot of those projects up there. They know what's there now. They know the airport. I hope that's a local contractor, local developer that does the new airport for us, and we're looking forward to it. That's all I have to say.
Thank you. Joseph Maven, then John Rawls, and Vernon Stewart.
On behalf of the members and board of directors of the Minority Contractors Association of Greater Kansas City, I appear today to endorse the Burns and Mack proposal to build a new single terminal airport. Burns and McDonald proposal is a great opportunity for the city of Kansas City. A new terminal will boost Kansas City in its competition for economic growth with our sister cities of Oklahoma City, Indianapolis, Omaha, and Denver. It will create better opportunities for business and employment growth. It will improve the travel experience of inbound tourists and business people. The most compelling reason that minority and women contractors support Burns and McDonald's is their commitment to build a new terminal with local contractors and construction-related businesses. Local MWBE businesses are well aware of Burns and McDonald's commitment to inclusion and diversity and employment and contracting. We know Burns and McDonald to be good corporate citizens. This project creates the opportunity for Burns and McDonald and the minority business development community to embark on a new innovative program to help build capacity of minority and women-owned businesses. Discussions have already begun on this effort. Burns and McDonald has a history of voluntary efforts to improve the business climate for MWBE concerns and efforts to help them grow capacity.
John Rawls, Vernon Stewart, and Honora Ogletree.
Good evening, John Rose, Whatever It Takes Electrical Contractors. Good evening, John Rose, Whatever It Takes Electrical Contractors. I started my company 15 years ago, locally owned, and when the Sprint Center was built, Morrison Contractor came in town here, and they had their own electrical division, and I was aced out of the project. Didn't have a chance to bid on it. So since the RFP is out for a new building, I say we'll go with a local contractor, Burns and Mac. Would be a good fit, and everybody in the community would be treated fairly. I've done several projects as a minority contractor for them on the public and the private side. So I think it'd be a good fit where everybody can get a chance to work on the airport. They support a lot of people here, hire a lot of people, pay a lot of taxes, and I heard a lot about remodels. I worked on a remodel on the first and second phase of a old complex building. So if everybody wanted to do a remodel, they can probably do the remodel too. So thank you. Have a good one.
Vernon Stewart, Honora Ogletree, and John Ivy.
Hi. Originally, I had a plan to script something, but the reality of this whole thing is about change. You know, all of us are afraid of change, but the reality is it's necessary for tomorrow. You know, the reason why we change is that we want something that works for us all. And so, speaking on behalf of the fact that I'm one of the constituents that use the airport, I'm one of the constituents that live in the community, I'm one of the people that this change matters. We know a new airport also brings an opportunity for people, for moving people. The whole purpose of having a city is to have commerce. And having commerce means that you have to have an airport that works. So one of the things that I have to commend the opportunity that the city is seeking, and that we're using a local presence, is the fact that we know that this change has to happen in order for our city to be here tomorrow. For our kids, for the fact that we want our city to become a city recognized. I do thank you guys for the opportunity to be able to share this, but at the very end of this, we all benefit from it. Us as minorities, as contractors, we as consultants, one of the things it's been proven that we use local talent, we all get the benefit from it. So that's what I'm grateful for the opportunity to be able to share the fact that let's make the change. We do need something new so we can grow our future.
Honora Ogletree, then John Ivy, and John Slaughter.
I would like to, my name is Honora Ogletree, and I would like to thank the City Council for having this meeting to hear views of what the city wants. My first thing is, why are we in a rush to get things out for June so that we can have an election in November? The election, we all know, is when you have a general election, you don't get the numbers that you really need to find out what you want from the taxpayers, even though they're saying one thing. My thing would be, everybody gets a slip of paper on personal property taxes in November, and most 95% of that information and the monies come back before the end of the year. Why not slip an additional piece of paper in the envelope and ask the taxpayers what they want rather than spend money on a general election? Also, at the same time, I'd like to find out why we spent $10 million with consultants to find out about our airport that we not want or repair. At the same time, Mr. Hensley had brought up about the airports, the gates, and so forth. We're talking about going from 75 gates to 30. With those 30 gates, and I used to be an air traffic controller, if you haven't been to Chicago O'Hare, you're gonna have stacked up airplanes on the one side at the tarmac of airplanes. You won't get it in and you won't get them out in time. What you will have with a nice airport is people complaining about why we're not getting out and in on time. At the same time, I'd like to know why we keep asking questions. We've been through this numerous times, and because we want it so bad, we keep bringing it out. I'd like to see it come to a halt where the $10 million has been spent. It should be remodeled, do everything that the people here said they wanted. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. John Ivy, followed by John Slaughter and Ruth Turner.
Thank you very much. John Ivy. I'm the treasurer of the Citizens for Progress. And we would like to say that we'd like to first thing see a light rail to the front door of all the terminals. It'd be the first thing. The second thing would be to let the KCATA take over the Kansas City airport. And the third thing is let's have the trucks quit using Broadway Bridge and let them use another bridge where we can have a little more time with to where we can get to the airport, because that bridge is a very important thing to a lot of people to get up there in time. Thank you.
And I apologize if I'm not pronouncing it correctly. To John Slaughter.
Good evening, Council. Quick statement. My name is Dejan Slaughter. I'm with TSI Geotechnical. We're a minority and woman-owned small business with over 27 years of service in this community and engineering industry. On behalf of TSI, I would like to say that we are in full support of a new terminal at KCI Airport. Kansas City is a world-class city and community right in the heart of America. And as a gateway into our beautiful city, our airport should represent the fact that Kansas City continues to be the hub for innovation and progressive thinkers. So as a small business, we are in full support of this plan. Also, I should mention that for many years, Burns & McDonnell have been a much valued client of ours and have been instrumental in our personal growth as a small business throughout our time in Kansas City. You know, we've had the pleasure to partner on over 70 projects with Burns & McDonnell, and we've certainly been appreciative of their support. So, but not only that, we are supporters of Burns & McDonnell because of their stance on diversity and inclusion and giving back to this community. You know, they're not just talking about, you know, what they're going to do, but they're actually doing it. So today I'm in full support on behalf of TSI. We're in full support of this plan for the terminal and this Burns & McDonnell as well. So thank you.
Thank you. Ruth Turner, then Marquita Taylor, and John Murphy.
Please, my name is Bob Henderson. I've got a company named ManLab Environmental. I'm here to endorse the new airport. I think anyone that has traveled and had a 3-hour layover, you would have to ask yourself, what would you do with a 3-hour layover at the airport we have right now? I would rather catch a Greyhound bus than wait at the KCI airport for 3 hours, because there's no amenities there whatsoever. The next thing that I'd like to say is I'd like to applaud Burns & McDonnell. These other firms that have come forward lately, this isn't a new idea. Burns & McDonnell was the one that came forward. And also I'd like to say that I started my company in 1992. My first client was a city, Kansas City, Missouri, and Burns & McDonnell. 25 years later, while I'm getting ready to pass the torch over to my kids, our 2 clients that we have, in addition to the other, is Burns & McDonnell and the city, Kansas City, Missouri. So my hat's off to Burns & McDonnell. Thank you.
Thank you. Marquita Taylor, then John Murphy.
Good evening. Thank you for the opportunity to speak with the council on this. I just want to certainly speak for myself and others that I will have an opportunity to have a conversation with, that I am in full support of an upgrade, a new terminal than what we have. I understand that timing is important based on some recent media that I saw with the state of Kansas. And I think it behooves us to move and to make this happen. And I think it's something that's been needed for quite a while. And I'm full support. I think Burns & Mac has been one of the most philanthropic organizations or companies in this city. So I salute them, I support them. I do hope, though, that the costs that we'll begin to incur when it comes to the parking and the conveniences that are there, I hope that every effort is made to keep those costs down so that, you know, we're not suffering through $30, $40, $50 to park our cars. I know some of those costs are going to come back to us, so I'm hoping that they'll do some things to keep those costs down. Thank you.
Thank you. John Murphy.
Good evening. My name is John Murphy. I'm with Citizens for Responsible Government. Just a little housekeeping here. At the first meeting we had up at the airport, my concern was how much money Burns and McDonald has donated to city council and mayor's campaigns. And I was told to go home and read the newspaper. Lynn Horsley did a report on that, and I did. Looks like all city council members got $5,100 from Burns and McDonald. The mayor got $50,000. I just want that in the record. My big concern is this is turning into a very rushed process. I'm very happy that you've opened it up to other potential parties, but really, with this rush process and a 3-week RFP turnaround, how can you come up with a plan in 3 weeks, a credible plan? Second, given the parameters allowing Burns McDonald the right to match any deal, how legitimate are the bids or participants you're going to get in this process? It's called a Swiss challenge, and it's done in entrepreneurial, enterprising countries such as Bangladesh, the Cameroon, other third world countries. It's usually considered a rigged bid process. So I would suggest you do something else. Third, will renovation be part of the RFP process? If not, why not? Thank you very much.
So we have another list here, and I will encourage anyone who has not had a chance to sign up. There are sign-up cards out front, and we have probably about another 10 or 15 names to work through for 2 minutes. So with that, we have Noel Wood, Bruce Watkins Jr., and Mark, who will be on that.
Thank you for this opportunity. I'm Nola Wood. Over these years that we've been hearing this constant drumbeat of we must tear down and basically do $1 billion downsize of our airport, I've talked to many people who love our airport, appreciate the convenience, find it much more convenient and much more easy and quick to access than other airports that we have flown in and out of. I am concerned also with the issue of the respect for the people who worked that land before we built an airport there. And the slave graves are a real issue that we should be concerned with. The constant drumbeat of we have to tear down what we have that we love, that we find very efficient, and replace it with a single terminal just smells. And I'm very concerned that at a time when taxpayers and travelers have to be careful with our money, it seems to me that the city should be careful with our stewardship of the airport that we have. I would like for us to give fair consideration to the Crawford plan, the remodel, and I appreciate your taking time to hear our concerns. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Watkins. And as you're coming up, we'll say thank you to you and your family for hosting us tonight here at your dad's cultural center, and thank you for your lifetime commitment to service. Someone can help you with the mic or so.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, council members. I'm speaking on behalf of the Bruce R. Watkins Foundation. The foundation met with Burns and McDonald to discuss their concept for a new airport. And based on that meeting, we believe Kansas City will benefit from a modernized airport, and that Burns and McDonald is the company to do it, get it done. Burns and McDonald Company has been part of Kansas City community for over 100 years. They understand our history and our values. We are impressed with Burns and McDonald and their commitment to building Kansas City community, not just a new airport. We're convinced that the Burns and McDonald plan can offer greater levels of service to travelers, but it's more than just about air travel. The folks in Burns and McDonald agree with us that the new airport should tell the story of Kansas City to millions and millions of visitors and travelers, particularly the contributions of the African American community from the era of slavery to the present. We see this as an opportunity for the airport to begin a new chapter of community involvement, including not only jobs and economic development, but explaining the role of African Americans and European Americans in regional and national history to millions and millions of travelers. We hope that you'll join with us and the Watkins Foundation and support this exciting new vision. Thank you.
Thank you. Mark?
Rob here.
Use the mic there, please. There you go.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity to be here, Mark Robb. I'd like to endorse what Bruce Watkins just said. I think we do need to bear in mind, we're in a new century, and I think we need progressive thinking about a new airport. And I'm impressed with Burns and McDonnell as the agent to do that. I want to echo the fact that they've been in the community for over 100 years. They have a superb record, not only in construction and design, but we've heard from any number of people this evening that they've also been great community members. And I think that they will do a great job, not only in building the airport, but in creating a new vision for the airport. I think they're going to be as mindful and sensitive about the airport's historical and cultural past as they are about its future. Thank you.
Thank you. Ron Coker?
Good evening. My name is Ron Coker. I'm Senior Vice President with Burns McDonnell. Can you hear me all right? Oh, this one? Oh, my apologies. My name is Ron Coker. I'm the Senior Vice President with Burns McDonnell. Certainly want to thank the chairs and members of the committee and council persons for their willingness to listen to this dialogue with the community. As I think everybody here knows that since we proposed what we're talking about here tonight, where Burns and Mac stands, I would though like to talk just a bit about the importance of this project to the MVWD community, and as we think about building a new airport terminal, that we need to be thinking about how does this project set the standard for projects to come with respect to building capacity within our community. I'm certainly going to be here tonight. I would encourage anyone here that has a minority or woman-owned business, a smaller local business, or an organization that is interested in this topic to come find me. We're going to be having our first outreach program this Thursday evening. So again, thank you for your efforts. Thanks to everyone here as well. We took the time out of their day to come and testify. We love Kansas City International as well as the engineer of record on the current terminal. We're very proud of it, but we're certainly excited that we've created a dialogue and that the city's entered into a discussion as it relates to building a new terminal. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Joe Davis.
Good evening. I'm Joe Davis, owner of Custom Engineering. We're a 43-year-old engineering design firm here in Independence. And I just want to lend my support to Burns McDonnell and this new terminal plan. We've been working with Burns McDonnell for the last 10, 15 years, and they have demonstrated their commitment to small business and helping us grow and hire and create jobs and hire local talent, as opposed to seeing these great engineers go elsewhere, leave the state, and not stay right here in the city. Some general observations on the current project, current terminal. I don't feel that it is as safe as it could be. The close proximity of the passenger drop-off to the terminal it is not safe. And I think if you just make some general observations, nothing you can do with a suicide bomber, but that proximity is way too close. We got world-class talent right here in this town with Burns McDonnell and their staff and consultants and subcontractors. Subcontractors are excited about this. Another observation, I was in Memphis recently. That town's excited about a new terminal. Denver's going bonkers. We got to keep pace with our sister cities, or we'll get left behind. We want to become another, I don't want to say it, but some of these other cities that are declining. So we want to keep pace with what cities are doing and keep the vibrancy of Kansas City going. So that's all I want to say. Just want to lend my support, and hope we'll move forward and keep pace with what everybody else is doing. We got to lead. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Mark Anthony Jones. Then we have Warren Watkins, Cheryl Henderson to follow. Mr. Jones.
Thank you so much for being here and for listening to the public. We appreciate it. The question that I had was about Burns and McDonald's donation to the $5,100, which we now have learned that goes to your campaigns, and of course $50,000 to the mayor. So I won't get to ask that necessarily, but I will tell you that I've not talked to anybody on the street who doesn't believe that we have the most convenient airport in the country, and I fly in and out of it all the time personally. And I have been there while my plane was delayed 3 hours getting out, and I didn't stay in the little spot where I was supposed to probably. I was able to walk almost all the way around to about a half a dozen or 10, 12 other gates. So if you actually get up and walk around, you're not actually locked in. My grandpa used to have a statement. He said politics was many ticks, blood-sucking ticks. Now that's really bad to come from someone like me, being the chairman of the Jackson County Republican Committee, but I probably am more qualified than anyone else to talk about that. Yes, this process stinks. It smells, like Nola said. I believe that we need to back up. 20 days is absolutely not enough time when you're talking about $1 million house taking 6 months, and you've got this $1 billion, $1.2 billion, and you want to do it in 20 days. I know you've been working on it a long time, but you don't have the consensus of the public. They like what we currently have. It's safe, and it's very convenient, and it would be good if you actually fixed it up as you went along instead of letting it run down to the point that made everybody think, oh my God, we've got to have this or we're going to die. Thank you.
Thank you. Warren Watkins.
Hello there. I'm Warren Watkins, Watkins Foundation. History is the building block of all knowledge in one society. The most significant tradition that human beings have is storytelling. Oral history is the only source of documentation. Human interest stories that come from that 11,000 acres of hallowed ground can help form a blueprint for healing. In Wallace, Louisiana, the Whitney Plantation, I'll leave a copy of this. The Whitney Plantation is the only place in the United States of America that paid tribute to the slaves by putting their names on monuments, 120,000 names. The only place in the United States of America. When does the healing begin? Kansas City has a rich history, and you can't pick nobody from Japan to come in here and tell our story. That past history is a very sensitive issue, and you got to have somebody from here to tell the story. Thank you.
Thank you. Cheryl Henderson, Sharon Fulson will follow her. And then after that, looks like we have former Mayor Pro Tem Albert Brooks, Gabriel Okafor. Ms. Henderson.
Good evening. Thank you for this opportunity. I'm here just as a citizen. I plan to attend and did not know I would be speaking necessarily, but I appreciate this opportunity. I want to say that I agree that a new airport is needed. I understand, and I certainly like our airport as it is. However, it lacks many amenities that new up-and-coming cities have. I think there was an article in the paper about a research project that had been done that said our local leisure travelers love the airport, however, our out-of-towners, not so much. And as a leisure traveler now, I can understand that, but we travel at most 8-10 times a year, whereas we have out-of-towners who come in monthly, weekly, and this is who the airport is for, not us that are going to visit mom, grandmom occasionally. So I think we need to pay more attention to that. Also, we talk about security, but if we look at things that have happened in London, they're saying now that security is, they're looking at places that are easily accessible. And we think it's secure, but it hasn't been tried. I don't see anything at the baggage area. I don't see anyone very often looking as though they're security. So I'm not so sure it's so secure because we haven't tried that. I think we are limiting our amenities, our food, our restaurants, our restrooms, internet, and so forth. And the last thing I want to say is I was extremely excited when I heard that Burns & McDonnell was willing to build the airport and not ask taxpayers for something. And we've been talking about airports for forever. To me, that's a gift that I don't understand why we are turning it down. And we say we're quick, but we've been talking about this a long time. I know I don't have much time, but I'm just thinking we have these Johnny-come-lately companies from out of town that are talking about they want to come in and do things. I think we need to stick with companies that work for us, that pay taxes.
That's your time, Ms. Anderson.
Thank you.
Thank you. Sharon Olson. With that, looks like Mr. Brooks stepped out as well. Gabriel, you're up next. Then to follow.
Mr. Chairman and members of the Council Committee, thank you for allowing me to give my testimony about this new project. I reside at 3820 Virginia Avenue, Kansas City, Missouri. I'm also the president of Alpha Energy and Electric at 34th and Troost. And I'm here on behalf of myself and also my company. I'm here to support the Bunsen Mac project. I think it's a very worthwhile project. Obviously, we've been talking about redoing our airport for very many years, and nobody else stepped up to present a viable plan until Bunsen Mac did. And now all of a sudden, everybody else is shooting out plans that are not worthwhile looking at. So I think it's worthwhile to support the Bunsen Mac plan. We do travel around the country for our business, and I do use that airport quite a bit. We also do business overseas, so we have to travel quite a bit through that airport to other airports. While you might spend less time to get to your terminal here, but then you end up spending hours somewhere you don't want to be, waiting for the next flight to the next. When I can fly from here, if I can fly from here to anywhere in the world, I would love to do that. Why would I give that up? So while we have a good airport now, what is being proposed is a better option for a city that wants to be a first-class city. You can't be a first-class city and not have a first-class airport. It makes absolutely no sense. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Former Mayor Pro Tem Al Brooks, you got 2 minutes. Let's see what you do with this.
Thank you. Can I take some of these other folks' hands?
Oh, sorry, you got 2 minutes.
To the chair and members of the committee, thank you very much. 4 years ago, I sat on the committee, Aviation Committee, as a member of the City Council, 1999 to 2003. The same discussion we're having this evening came up then, except we had no one to step up and say, we'll do this for the city. I think Burns Mac's record speaks for itself. But let me say this to you. I have been in airports all over the world. From Singapore, Malaysia, Rome, Paris, Heidelberg, Germany, West Africa, Senegal, Mali, the Gambia, the Middle East, Egypt, Jordan, and Israel, and then throughout the United States. And the large countries, large cities have large airports. Our airport was good when it was built. It was good for what we wanted for at that time. Change sometimes is difficult to come by, and people can fight change. But what's good for this whole metropolitan area? I believe that KCI has to stay as and become more of the aviation mecca, if you will, for this part of our metropolitan area. It will be that if we end up going with a new airport. I think that we're very vulnerable having these three different terminals when you talk about post 9/11. I think we're most vulnerable. I think that with the way things are so organized now, we're very vulnerable. And I'd like to hear from the police and others, Homeland Security, about that. But I support the new airport. I think it's necessary. I think it further expands the economic development of Northland, and I think further it expands economic development for the city as a whole. That's the front door to our city. And we'll make sure that that's the front door and the living room for our city, that it ought to remain a showpiece as well as something that we as a city, this metropolitan area, can be proud of. So I urge on you to continue this. Thank you for your hearing. And I think that come voting time, I hope folks will vote yes for the expansion. And thanks to Vern McDowell for that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Brooks. Prentice Earl Bowles, and we have Stacy Will to follow. Those are the cards that I have up here, and so if anyone else would like to speak, if you have not filled out a card, please do that at this time, or we'll try to entertain some additional comments afterwards. Mr. Bowles.
Good afternoon, City Council and Kansas City residents. Like I say, my name is Prentice Bowles. I've been a military vet. I've been in the military for 21 years in the Kansas City, Missouri area, and I'm proud and I love my country and I love Kansas City, Missouri. Sometimes I'm for this. I love this country. I love this city too. Sometimes I feel that Kansas City is kind of getting left behind, and I'm really I do whatever I can to support this project for this new airport. And I hope the Burns and McDonald's plan go through, and like I say, respect the cemeteries and the graves of the dead, like brother over here to my right said, and I will do my best to accommodate what I can do to try to help this plan go through in November. That's it.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Will.
Hi. Thank you for hosting another forum. And so I would like to start out with, I would like to learn the 4 main reasons that we need a new airport. And I would like for it to be stated in user terms, not we need a bigger platform, because that doesn't mean anything to me. I have discerned that we need more direct flights. And so my sub-questions about that would be, then will we be guaranteed more direct flights, and how many more? And then just as a comment, I understand that this isn't supposed to affect our taxes, but I am very curious as to how much it's going to affect our ticket prices that we use when we fly out. And then lastly, I am not opposed to a new terminal, but I am very concerned about this process. I think it has been very haphazard. I know that we've been talking about this for a very long time, but since new bids were allowed a couple of weeks ago, that's really putting it back to square one. So I don't want to hear the mayor talking about, we've been talking about this for 6 years, let's move on with it. No, we're just now getting started. We may have been talking about it for 6 years, but we haven't been doing anything. So we need to have, and several people have mentioned, 3 weeks is absolutely not enough time. You can't do a small house. Somebody mentioned $1 million house. You can't do a small house in that amount of time. So we need to take our time, and I do question the bidding, the way it's set up to allow Burns and Mac, and I don't have anything against Burns and Mac. I am glad they are here in our city, headquartered in our city, and my time's up. So thank you very much for answering those questions. 3 other main reasons why we need a new terminal.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Tillman, Stuart Tillman. And I would ask that as Mr. Tillman is coming, if there are other city staff who are out in the hallway, there were several questions that were posed. We will try to answer some of those questions after Mr. Tillman, or if there is any other public testimony. So if Gayla or someone can maybe tell them to come inside, and we'll have Mr. Richardson read off some of those questions. Stuart Tillman.
Okay, thank you panel.
I just have a question, and it relates to something that I read relative to the terminal itself, that the city would own the terminal, and I'm wanting to know who will own the land. Is that an easy question?
We're answering questions at the end, so if you have any other questions, you've got about a minute and 30 seconds to go.
And the other part of this relative to the jobs, okay? Will there be the assurance that those individuals who have no skills, who can benefit from learning how to work, will be a part of this mechanism? Will there be those types of assurances for entry into the apprenticeship, other avenues of work? Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any, those are all the cards that we have at this time. I really do appreciate all of you. But if there's anyone else that would like to make public testimony, we certainly will entertain that at this time for 2 minutes. Seeing none, we appreciate all of you for attending, and I would ask that Rod Richardson, who is with our City Communications Department, he's been doing some scribing for us, as many of you have asked questions through your testimony. And so if we could probably take to the mic, and I don't think the screen is working here, but if we could maybe take to the mic and recite some of the questions. I know the director of the airport is here. We have our city attorney and some folks from Burns and Mack that can also answer some of the questions, and let the co-chair make some additional comments.
Appreciate it. I did want to clear up one thing that was cleared up today in the RFQP process. We've had a couple of comments tonight about a Swiss challenge, and we need to make this clear today. There was an addendum to the RFQP today that said there is no Swiss challenge or right of first refusal for anybody. And the process that will take place is that everybody who is interested in putting forth a bid will put forth the bid, and we will then interview the best and final folks who are putting forth those bids. So I just wanted to make that clear. That was qualified today as part of the RFQ process.
Still just 3 weeks?
It's the proposal will still due on June the 20th at 4 p.m., which is our standard procurement process.
Mr. Klein, if you want to maybe take a shot at some of the questions, I know that you've been taking notes as well, so we'll probably just do a round robin that way. You can maybe state some of the questions you may want to take a shot at answering. State your name for the record so that everyone knows who you are as well.
Patrick Klein, 4005 Northeast 50th Terrace, Kansas City, Missouri 64119. Aviation Director? Oh, sorry. Is that better? Alrighty. Several questions around number of gates. We mentioned this at the first hearing. We have 90 numbers on our slots. You know, the first terminal is 0 through 30, 31 to 60, 61 to 90. We do not have 90 gates, nor have we ever had 90 gates at KCI. The most jet bridges we've ever had, even though we didn't use them all, was between 46 and 50. Currently, we have 30 leased gates at the airport. The current proposal has 35 gates, and those 5 gates could be used as international or regular gates as they're needed. They would be common use gates, expandable to 42. So currently we have 30 leased gates. The single terminal could eventually be expanded to 42 gates, which is not quite 30%, 33% increase that we have now. So there was lots of questions about that.
Before you continue, I think there is a question from one of our colleagues.
Thank you. Pat, how many gates do the 3 terminals have? It goes up to 90. So how many gates do they have?
Well, if we had jet bridges, if we had enough jet bridges.
I don't care about jet bridges. How many gates?
About 17 or 18 per terminal. You can there's a max you can
Why
put in
is
there.
there no number up to 90?
It's like your, the best example I can use, I'm 4005. My neighbor lives at 4009. So when they did the numbering, when I spoke to the folks who built it, they said that this was the way that they thought the numbering made the most sense. So, I mean, it does skip gates, but there's the most you can put in any one gate's between 17 and 18 terminals in a gate. So at max you could put, when you could do the math, it's 50, 51.
Well, as the person are the people who designed the airport here tonight,
Let's try to make our way through the questions. Our council colleagues will, well, I understand. Well, I think what she's asking is making sure that there's no misinformation, and I totally respect your opinion, and I want to make sure that we do this in a very respectful way. And so there has been a lot of questions.
I'm good with questions.
Yeah. Do you have any other questions you'd like to make, Councilmember Lord, at this time? No. Okay. Please, if you can continue, and please.
There was questions about scale drawings. We don't have a time frame, but at one of the last years, I think the first hearing, there was a statement, I believe, that the drawings would be, they anticipated the drawings before the election. I don't know if we will see drawings before the decision in August, so I can't really answer that question. There was a question of whether the airport was going to be green. The RFP that went out, the city standard is that buildings have to be designed to the LEED Gold standard, which is a very good standard, and the RFP that had that document in there, along with document for 1% R, and those type of standard city requirements. Sorry, I'm trying to read my own writing here. There was a question about the bus driver with the rental facility. He asked about where the commercial traffic would go. The single terminal proposal has the commercial traffic separated from the arrivals and the departures, and the commercial traffic goes into the parking garage. So the commercial traffic would be separated. There's a lot of statements, but not a lot of. Ms. Weld asked 3 main reasons, so let me give her 3 quick ones, even though there's more. Bad geometry and our hold rooms can't expand. Baggage claim that's not a single system that doesn't have any redundancies in it, and congested roadways of the 6 lanes that we currently have. So you asked for three quick things.
The roadways, but what was the first one? Put that in user terms.
The hold rooms are the departure gates. So when you go through Southwest, I believe there's 9 gates there. The American one now with Allegiant, Spirit, and Frontier have 9 gates. We don't, because of the geometry of the building, it's 72 feet deep, and there's a security wall basically down the middle. So we funnel 11 million people through a 36-foot corridor every year. Those hold rooms are dead ends. So if you go into a hold room that's the Southwest hold room and you're on Delta, you're in the wrong hold room and you went in the wrong security line. So the hold rooms can't expand. I've got nowhere to go with the hold rooms. And we are getting more travelers, but not because of more flights. We're getting more travelers because the planes are getting bigger. The 50-seat regional jets are gone. They've been replaced with 100 seats. Even the 737s that Southwest fly used to have 133 seats. Now they've got 143, and 80% of their plane orders that are coming in with the Maxes, the 737 Maxes, will have 175 seats. So the flights that we have, even though we have the same number, have more and more travelers in there. With addition of the requirements from the FAA to put in things like nursing mother stations, service animal relief areas, post security. So those are the kind of restrictions we have, and the only way to do that is to take out seats or take out current concessions. So our hold room sizes and then the inability to expand them are a problem. The other one were the roadways, because you've got all the traffic that goes into the airport on those 6 lanes, and that backs up. And each airline essentially has their own baggage system, and there's not redundancies. Typically in a single airport, you'll have one baggage system that has redundancy, so if a bag belt breaks, they can route them around it. In our facility, when the bag belt break, like happened in December of 28th of 2015, you had the entire PSL by the Southwest ticket office full of bags, and they can only take those down on the elevators, and it takes 6 at a time. So it's a 4-hour fix to fix a bag belt. So there's 3 quick ones.
But that is one of the most convenient parts of our airport, is having the luggage right there when you get off.
Thank you for your comment. I want to make sure we're processing here through the questions, and if there's any anything more that you have, Mr. Klein, would you like to answer?
I think that's, oh, the question about who owns the land, the city owns the land. Job skills, I can't answer that question. Yeah.
Let's maybe ask, and then we'll hold off for our colleagues here to maybe answer questions or make additional comments at the end. I don't know if anyone from Burnsville Mac or our city attorney's office would like to respond to any questions that you all heard along the way today. Mr. Tallboy, Mr. Coker? No? Okay. Please.
Hi again, it's Ron Coker with Burns McDonald. I don't think we have any answers to specific questions that need to be asked, although we're certainly open and willing to try and explain the proposal as much as possible to the community. It is, and I guess the question I would take away was there was a question about cost to the community and cost to the citizens of Kansas City. What Burns and Mac has proposed is something that is not a financial risk to the citizens of Kansas City. It is not something that costs the taxpayers a dollar to do. It certainly is something that is, in our opinion, needed for the city. It was mentioned that there was a survey that said that the travelers through KCI, if they weren't from Kansas City, they rated it very low. And if they were from Kansas City, they rated it very high. We understand the convenience component of that. I'm sorry, I don't know the ratio. It was just it was something that was mentioned tonight. We certainly understand the convenience component from the Kansas City traveler side, and it's our intention to design and build an airport that would be certainly just as convenient. And we also understand the importance from those outside of Kansas City to set the tone and set the impression of Kansas City as they come into Kansas City. So sorry I didn't write down questions as we went through, but I'll certainly stick around in the back of the room if anybody has any questions they'd like to ask of me.
Yeah, thank you. Mr. Tallboy, did you have anything you wanted to add? Okay. With that, let's maybe start. Councilmember Lohr, would you like to go first with any questions, comments?
What do you want me to do?
Questions or comments at this time as we wrap up? Okay. Mr. Fowler.
Well, I will only make a couple of comments, and I will say that when I first got elected and this process started, I didn't know whether we should leave it the way it is, whether we should remodel, or whether we should build a new terminal. Gained a lots of information since then. My viewpoint has changed dramatically. A question was asked, why aren't we considering remodeling? Well, at the beginning of the process, before some of us were elected, remodeling was considered a viable option. In fact, about 3 or 4 years ago, it was considered the best option. And through the process, there were multiple ways of remodeling or redoing what we already have considered. And one of two things emerged. Either they did not meet the airline's needs or our needs for modern aviation, or they cost too much. And so in the process of doing this, the thing that winnowed down was that the most cost-effective way to proceed, coupled with trying to get our airport where it needed to be for modern airline aviation, and that takes a variety of forms, was to build a new terminal. Because anything that got us where we needed to be from the aviation side cost more than building a new terminal. So that's where we are now. The question is asked, why aren't we considering at this point? Ultimately, at the end of the day, the airlines guarantee the cost, not the taxpayers. The airlines guarantee the cost. They will not guarantee the cost of a rehab. They will only guarantee the cost of a new terminal. They've made that very clear. So we are now at the point of we either, from their standpoint, well, I guess we would have another alternative. We could pay for it, the citizens, taxpayers. I don't want to. I'm not gonna put that burden on anybody. So either the airlines guarantee the cost, or we do nothing. That, from my standpoint, are the options. We as a council will not make that decision ultimately. We will make a decision as to what we put on the ballot, but it will be the voters who make that decision. And I'm very content with that. So there's the position we're in right now. That's why we're seeing what we are. So when we go to the ballots, you will ultimately make that decision. Thank you.
Mr. McManus, now we'll be available for questions and comments throughout the meeting. Mr. McManus.
I'll be very brief. I just want to thank you all for being here. This is our third of 4 hearings. We have another one coming up at the end of this Thursday morning. Do we have a time yet? 9:15. At the 26th floor of City Hall. I sit on the Transportation Infrastructure Committee. I have not sat on the Airport Committee, which has been meeting now for 2 years. And so I've learned a lot through this process from hearing from you all, but we will have our 4th hearing right after Transportation Infrastructure on the 26th floor of City Hall at 9:15. And I want to thank City staff for being here and being able to answer the questions today. I look forward to continued discussion at the next hearing. And appreciate particularly City staff getting the RFPQ process out there and getting it started for procurement so that we can get all the good ideas that are out there on the table.
So there was one question that was asked that I wanted to attempt to answer, and it had to do with the job training piece. That is included in the RFQP, so I would like you to take a look at that. But one of the things that we requested for anyone who's putting a bid in is to tell us what their job training component will be as part of this. Additionally, Councilman McManus has already mentioned our final meeting. If you are here tonight, it's because you care about KCI, and we appreciate that greatly. I want to let you know that there is a lot of information that is available online, and if you have access, I would highly encourage you to take a look at it. As Councilman McManus mentioned, we've had about 1.5 years to almost 2 years of hearings right now, and several of these conversations have taken place. If you go to kcmo.gov/airport, you can take a look at everything that we've discussed here tonight. And if you were so inclined, you can go back and watch all of the hearings that we've had over the last 1.5 years. I would highly recommend, if you have insomnia, that might help you get to sleep at night. But one of the things in particular that I'd like you to take a look at on this is a presentation that was made in April of 2016. It is available. It is the recommendation that came from the airlines. They really laid out a lot of the reasons why they feel, after looking at this for 2 years, that this is the best option moving forward. And now, of course, we're having that conversation as a council and a community. And as Councilman Fowler said, ultimately it will be up to the voters of Kansas City. So if you are inclined and have access to the internet, I would highly encourage you to go to that website and take a look at it for more answers to your questions.
And what was that one in particular?
It's kcmo.gov/airport.
But the specific one where the airline laid out?
It is in April of 2016, and it is the Leadership Committee final recommendation presentation.
Thank you, and I hate to disagree with my colleague, but actually you can go back farther than that if you're so inclined. There is, and I think it's still up, back to tell me, the tour that the ATAG committee did back prior to that time. And there was another presentation in the summer of 2015, before we got elected, that where we got a similar report from the airlines. I think that's probably up there too, because that was, once again, an open meeting. And I was very remiss in not thanking everybody for your participation. We recognize that what you are doing and what you're commenting to us is important. And we do take it into consideration. We do listen. I think I made notes of, as best I could, my own shorthand of what people were saying. So I do have your comments as well as those that were made at the other meetings. And I'm actually pushing for a 5th meeting too. That will be held later on. We got a little bit more luxury of some time because of the process we're going through now. I'm pushing for another 5th meeting, we'll hopefully have it at UMKC. I'll talk to my colleagues about that. They can veto me, but that's all right. Thank you all very much for coming. And if you do have additional comments, I know that Jermaine is going to talk about KC Momentum is open and operating, and we'd like to get some comments on there as well.
My comments. I will say a couple of things before we adjourn. One, let me echo the comments that my colleagues have made, and thanking all of you who have come, many of you who come to all of the public meetings, not only out in the community, but also at City Hall throughout this entire process. It is important to me and my colleagues that we're talking with each other and not at each other. This is an important decision that we're making for our city. I have said time in and time again that as we're talking about an outdated airport of nearly 40 years now, plus, the decision that we're getting ready to make, or of course the voters of our city, which will make, will be a decision that has to last for another 40 to 50 years. I plan to be here 40, 50 years from now. And I hope that when we have that discussion, whatever that decision, which will be made, at 40 and 50 years, I can sit here like Mr. Brooks on the front row and say, that was a good decision. Because it is important that we're doing our due diligence. I, for one, am not in a rush to make any final decision about a decision that will last for generations to come. We as the city council must do what is right and what is fair for the generations that are coming after us. And so I'm going to do everything that I can, of course, to make that happen. I will also mention that there are a number of community meetings. These are public hearings that are official sort of city business that we're doing, but there are also a number of my colleagues, including myself and my counterpart, Councilmember Lucas, who will be hosting public forums as well in our own respective districts. On June 12th, we will host a forum about the airport, and we invite all of you to come if you'd like as well. That will be at 6 o'clock at the Greg Price Community Center. It goes from 6 o'clock until 7:30 next Monday, June 12th. And so you guys are certainly invited to come and join us as we have this discussion and talk more, of course, about the airport, the convenience, and the decisions that we as a council will be making. I think it is important that we have as many discussions as possible and try to get as much information out to our constituents as possible. In addition to that, please, as you guys are exiting the building today, if you see the staff in the hallway, please tell them thank you for hosting us tonight, because this place is actually closed on Mondays. And so they have come in to open their doors, of course, to allow us to be here. And so please say thank you to them for allowing their doors to open tonight for us to have this important public discussion. And with that, well, you had your hand up, Mr.
I just want to mention that while everyone is here, to please make use of this beautiful facility. As a member of the board of directors,
That's what I thought you wanted.
so Watkins, there's a wonderful exhibit upstairs. You can make your way up there and appreciate some of the museum's art and culture while being here.
Since I'll let you speak, I'll let the young lady in the back as well speak.
I'm just a grandmother and
Yes,
a
ma'am.
registered nurse, but if you're going to have a 5th meeting and more meetings, let's have at least it look like it hasn't been a done deal already, and let's hear some answers, not just from Burns and McDonald's, but how about from some of these other plans that are out there, so we really can ask, because you've come to a conclusion, but we haven't seen both. It really looks like a done deal. This is my first meeting to be like this, but I'd like to hear some of the others. I heard some really good ideas people talk about, moving in 60 feet, adding the parking. I'd like it to seem more fair.
Thank you. I can tell you that's, of course, what we want to do is be transparent, of course, and we have tried to do that throughout this entire process. If there's nothing else further to come before the body, Co-Chair, do you have any final words? If not, we'll adjourn, everyone.